Hi everyone, it's Vanessa Scotto from Math to Self. It's great to see you guys here again, and I wanted to talk to you about something that came out of my interview with Chris Bronstein this week. I mean, it was a great interview. There was a lot of important information on the power of community and friendships and how it actually feeds us from a health perspective. It helps us live longer and what that means to us. But what I wanted to talk about was actually a simple line that she said, which was, when you are faced with difficult circumstances, you can either choose to grow or you can choose to suffer. Very basic, isn't it? And I know a lot of you listening, when you're in the midst of facing a challenge, it doesn't feel like there's a choice. When we're suffering, we imagine we just are stuck in the pain and that the circumstances are dictating it. But this is something that I speak about over and over and over again. We cannot always choose the circumstances in our life. Sometimes, some of you, sometimes me, are choosing circumstances that are what we call masochistic. You have a choice, and therefore, if you remain in them, there's a masochism because you're creating your own suffering over and over again. But many situations we don't have control over. We don't choose what comes to us, whether it's us getting sick or a loved one facing an illness, or whether we lose the roof over our heads or we get fired from our jobs. And so these are the things that we can't always have an impact on. And when we are faced with these moments, again, we have two choices. We can choose to grow or we can choose to suffer. Now, what people have said throughout the ages, and Viktor Frankl, who's one of my favorite psychotherapists who was in the concentration camps, said this: people may be able to control your external circumstances, but nobody can control your mind. Now, most of us are not facing such dire circumstances as that. We're not in a concentration camp. We're not being tortured. And so many of us are in a much better position to start to get control over the way that we are approaching our difficulties, so that we can have some breathing room, so that instead of feeling just like a victim, we can start to powerfully learn from this and we can start to grow. So how you view the circumstances and how you view yourself within the circumstances dictates if you're going to grow or if you're going to just stay stuck in suffering. One of the keys is recognizing that you have some power, even if the power is just over your mind. Even if you say, I'm not going to let them get me down today. I am not going to give in to the feelings of despair today. I am going to focus on my blessings. I'm not going to let them make me scream my head off. I am going to find a moment, breathe, tune into my senses, and come to a place of peace. You have the ability to control that. So that's number one. When you understand you're not helpless, you feel much more at peace. You feel much more at control. Second, there is almost always something beautiful to focus on. Whether it's your child, your lover, your friends that are around to support you, even if it's just the person at the grocery store you just went to who gave you a magnificent smile or a welcoming hello. Or it's the sunset, or it's the sound of children laughing in the park nearby your house. Whatever it is, choose to slow down, breathe, and let that beautiful person, place, thing penetrate you. Really take it in. And in that moment, the problems can float away and you can access a place of peace. And from this, you get what we call traction. You can step outside of the intensity of your dilemma for a moment. And not only does that give you a sense of peace, and believe me, you all know, in these intense times, even if you have a few moments of peace a day, that is a relief. It's like sleep for your body. It is medicine for your soul. So even if it's just that, that's one thing. But also in stepping outside of the massive, overwhelming feelings that a lot of these dilemmas create within us, you get a moment to pause and then reflect. And then new problem-solving ideas float through your brain. New perspectives are allowed to arise, because possibilities arise when you stop boxing everything so in. We just keep crowding our minds, crowding our thoughts whenever we're faced with dilemmas. Take a breath, let in something beautiful, or count your blessings, write them down, anything you're thankful for in life, whether it's the shoes on your feet or the hands that I have that I'm talking with. Take a moment, breathe that in, really savor it, calm yourself. See if you can't get that respite. Each time you take control, when you are faced with a different circumstance, a difficult circumstance, excuse me, you will feel and trust in your own resiliency even more. Thanks for tuning in this week, you guys. If you have comments, please leave them. I love them. If you have requests or questions that I can follow up with for you, please leave that. I'll go ahead and give you a response to the best of my ability. And if you like this, hit like this. Thanks so much, everybody, for listening, and I'll see you again on Map to Self. Bye.